Amazing. Very much looking forward to day number two. We have our beautiful women speakers who will be providing us tremendous amount of healing and insights. And I want to personally thank all of you for joining. Thank you, Hashem, for giving us the slot to be able to run this summit, this beautiful summit. I want to thank all the team of Emuna. Emuna is not a one-woman show. It is really a whole team. We have beautiful Dr. Yael Maoz, who's the business and operations manager, who also runs an amazing publishing house called Beverly House Press and Emuna Press. So for all of your book publishing needs to make an impact in the world, I highly suggest contacting her. She's just an amazing human being and contributes a tremendous amount to Emuna, as well as her own professional services that she offers. And then I have really two right hands again, Rachel Dvora, who is not just the MC here, but really is the mind and master behind the scenes and in front of the scenes. Rachel Dvora Warmally is a certified transformational trauma and somatic life coach, and also certified in Emuna energy therapy, which is one of our programs, our key pointed programs in healing in a Jewish way. She comes from a background of athletic therapy and applied kinesiology. She has diverse trainings beyond compare and does a tremendous amount of beautiful healing work with women and men one-on-one. I think men too, right, Rachel Dvora? And at least, no, not so much. Okay, women one-on-one, and also runs her own private workshops. And of course, we have Jamie, who's the social media manager. She does amazing social media. And is just a dear confidant and friend. And Gila, who's my business our business consultant, and Esty, who's also recently added into our beautiful crew at Emuna, who does beautiful PR and marketing and business consultation as well. So really, Emuna is a beautifully staffed organization, and we are dedicated to Jewish healing. That is the motto. That is the mission. Women for women, women for women and men. That we're really dedicated to create a community that's safe, that's loving, that's supportive, and that is inspiring. That's what we're here for. And we really hope that you'll join our mission on any way, shape, or form, whether it's through the events, through the trainings, as being an ambassador, a donor, being involved in helping us promote Jewish healing awareness. As Rachel Dvora said before, in case there is a siren, those of us in Israel will have to check out for a little bit, but the show will continue to go on. I also have noticed that every so often, maybe it is because of, the missiles, I don't know, the 5G, 10G, Mega G, whatever it is, my internet seems to be iffy. Sometimes I go in, I go out. I hope that I'll be more in than out. I do want to make mention that technically speaking, we are not taking live Q&As, but we do read the chat, and we would love for you. We love your comments. We would love for you to chat in the chat box. We want to know what you're thinking, what you're feeling. We will take that under advisement. If we can somehow plug it through, we will, but just take that into account. Again, I want to thank all of the speakers who are joining. They really are dedicating their time, their insights, their inspiration. They're here for you. They're here for me, for us, for all of us. And yes, you can, of course, be in touch with them directly. Anytime you have a question, be in touch with them directly. Recordings will be sent to everybody. Thanks to the unwavering, loving, dedicated time of Dr. Yael, who has been working around the clock to make sure that you all have the recordings. Be'ezrat Hashem, please Hashem, it will be available to you through links that she will share with everybody who is registered. And I also want to express my continuous personal gratitude towards the donors and contributors that have enabled there to be sponsorship for today's summit, for this whole summit, that has made it available for all of us for free. Summits like this require a tremendous amount of resources and monetary support, and I want to thank them. I made all the dedications yesterday. They stand true today and tomorrow. And really, without you all, we would really not be able to make this event a reality. So thank you for making this possible and for supporting Oramun and all that we do. I want to speak for 2 minutes before we go into the introduction to Atara, who's amazing, who I just recently met, who Yael has recently published her gorgeous, gorgeous, adorable book that I'm going to get my hands on and read from front to back. I just want to talk 2 minutes and just go a little bit into the idea of understanding exiled emotions. So I want to bring awareness. We spoke yesterday about the idea of why Orit Esther had this mishugas and this craziness to run a 3-day summit on reclaiming exiled emotions. We spoke about that yesterday. Rachel Dvor and I had a lot of sichas and talks back and forth. And I want to bring a little bit of an understanding of the concept of exiled emotions and what does it refer to, because we're learning about this and I want to talk about what it refers to. Exiled emotions in definition means feelings. Feelings are thoughts that we feel in the body. We always wonder, we say feelings, we say emotions, we think they're intertwined. They're not. They're two different ways of experiencing what we feel. But feelings, as a definition, a feeling is a thought that I feel in my body. And when that feeling is felt, when I actually experience it in my body, and it then moves in my body, that now it turns from a feeling, which is in a place, to a movement of that feeling. When that feeling moves, it's called an emotion. Energy, the feeling is an energy in motion. It starts moving in my body. So I get to feel it in different parts of my body. Now, when these feelings, when these emotions are consciously, unconsciously suppressed, denied, hidden, okay, they don't just disappear. They go into exile. They find a place where they can actually hide and they stay put there. And we're not aware of it. We're not aware that they're manifesting somewhere in the body and they're just waiting like a little child to be acknowledged and recognized. Now we have to understand that there's a consequence to this suppression, hiddenness, denial of one fragmented part of self. I'm speaking in IFS language, internal family system language, which is a therapeutic model for healing, which goes along with Emuna practice. But the idea is that we can't deny this feeling, these feelings, these emotions that we either brought in from this lifetime or that have been carried many, many, many lifetimes together with us. They've been journeying along together with us, either through ancestral patterns and or the possibility of, again, just, things that we have to deal with in this lifetime. So I want to talk about there's going to be 3 perspectives that I want to bring into mind. The first one is the psychological perspective. But you know what? I see time is getting to us. So I'm going to say that hopefully I'll have time in between. And if not, I can reserve all of this for my talk, which I'm basically going to be the last speaker of the summit tomorrow. I can obviously have time to speak about that. But I just want us to understand that when we're talking about the idea of exiled emotions, we're talking about emotions that we're not in touch with, that we need to be in touch with, that are screaming out to us to be in touch with. And this is the safe place, not just only in the summit, but with the speakers and their services and Emuna and the Therapeutic Healing Academy and programs. This is what we deal with, is we want to be true, wholesome beings. We don't want to be fragmented and scattered. And the idea is to create awareness and a safe, supportive network. And that is what Emuna stands for, to be able to address them. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over the mic to Rachel Dvor to introduce our next speaker. And I'll be here in and out. Thank you.
Thank you, Rebbitzin. That was amazing. Thank you so much. Very excited for tomorrow. So before we can get to tomorrow, we are going to get through today. And we have, of course, our third, rounding out our panelists for today, our speakers. is the wonderful Batya Ruddell. She is a multi-genre columnist for Hamodia. She is also the author of 8 books. The 2 most well-known are The View from Nineveh and On Their Derech, which I'm going to add a little plug here, personally has become a complete game changer for me. If you haven't read it, strongly recommended, total personal plug. Batya is a narrative therapist and a life coach. Her newest initiative, called The Family Table, is an innovative approach to family dynamics where therapy takes place in the home and not in an office setting. In addition, Batya teaches creative writing to seminary girls, facilitates support groups of mothers of struggling teens, and she runs therapeutic writing workshops. Over the years, Batya has combined her writing and therapy skills. One of her specialties is teaching the empowering and healing techniques of left to right handwriting. So without further ado, thank you so much for joining us today, Batya, and we are so excited to hear what you have to share.
I love you, Batya. I'm so happy to have you here. Batya's my dearest, dearest friend. Just a side note, we go out for coffee, we schmooze, and you're in for a great, great, loving presentation from the most phenomenal woman walking on planet Earth. You're muted. You're muted. We have to ask you to unmute, Batya. Sorry.
Okay, great. I'm just saying that my ego, it's like I feel like my head is just growing, like spreading as you're talking, and I certainly do not deserve that. But anyway, that was a great introduction, Russell Devore. I think I should hire you for my PR in future because you did a great job. Anyway, thank you so much, everybody, for joining me and us in this very special occasion. I am very happy and honored to be here. And you know, like what a topic. Exiled emotions, reclaiming them. Like, what does that make you think about? So, to me, it makes me think about the emotions that I have put into my own personal gallus. And in order to experience my own personal geula, I need to reclaim those. I need to take them out of that gallus. So I'm going to be talking today about how to have an authentic relationship with Hashem and being real with Hashem. And that in order to do that, we have to have an authentic relationship with ourselves. That comes first. If we are not real with ourselves, we cannot be real with Hashem. So let's get going. I'm just going to give you a brief introduction in case any of you are wondering who this strange lady is on taking up your computer screen. I'm a Balas Tshuva. I'm proud of it. B'ezrat Hashem, my children should be Balas Tshuvas also. I grew up in England. My husband is American, so I have a mixed marriage. And I worked as a neonatal intensive care nurse for many, many years. And then I switched, like around in my 40s. I'm not telling you how old I am, but I switched around around that age to pursue my dream, which was to be a professional writer. I always wanted to write, and I always did write. And so I started, and Baruch Hashem, it became my profession. I gave up nursing. My 2 books, which that I'm probably most known for, I don't know if any of you know, this is The View from Nineveh. This is a book about going through my own personal journey of chemotherapy for serious illness. It's actually very funny. It's a journal, but it's very funny. It's not depressing. And then there's my 7th book, On Their Derech, which I'm going to talk to you about a little bit more soon. I have, Baruch Hashem, 4 wonderful children, and all of my children have been through severe trauma, every one of them. Our family has done a whole gamut of things. like sexual abuse, addiction, bullying, psychiatric hospitalizations, rehab, same-sex relationships. I mean, you name it, we've had it. The police, when my younger son, who was extremely hyperactive when he was younger, so he got into so much trouble that the police came to our house so often that I would joke with my husband we should just have like a little table with like cake and coffee waiting for them when they arrived, little kibud shotrim, as they say. We've also done cancer. One of my kids had cancer, and there's my own health struggles as well. But other than that, like life is pretty good. Yeah. So how have I coped? That's the question. Well, who says I have coped? I would say that having a sense of humor is a very, very good thing. I remember being in a women's retreat in the Kina Hotel in Tveria, and there was this absolutely lovely woman, singer Balas Chuva, that was she comes every year to sing and tell her stories about her Balas Chuva story. And she was talking about how her sons had got into these, amazing yeshivas. And I just turned to the friend next to me and said, well, my son started a good rehab yesterday. So, you just sometimes have to find the humor in your situation. But really, on a serious note, the only way that I deal and I cope with all of these things is through my relationship with Hashem. It's the only way. And without Hashem's help, I would not be able to be here today speaking. And I really mean that literally. There are times where I've been so deep in the pit and only Hashem can pull me out. And it is so clear that that's the case, that it wasn't me, that I on my own am not strong enough to do this by myself. I also have, well, Hashem, a very supportive husband and a supportive Rav, who has been in my life for over 30 years and knows us very well. And I just want to say a little bit about having a rabbi, because actually there are many, many, many women who do not have a Rav. They don't have a rabbi. They do not have anyone who knows their family. They may have the husband might go off to a godel to ask a shaila here and there, but they don't actually have a relationship with them. And it's so, so important. Many women say, my husband's my Rav, which is wonderful as long as your husband isn't a problem. But it's very, very, very important. The relationship with my rabbi is very unique. And he always tells me that he's not here to tell me what to do. He's here to help me to access the truth, which is inside of myself. Okay, so our relationship with Hashem. So it's very easy to be religious, but still not have a relationship with God. That means that we can be very, very meticulous about our Torah observance, and we can perform the mitzvahs beautifully, but we still have very little connection with him. And we could often go all day without even thinking about him because we're so busy. So what should we be doing? Well, what we should be doing is talking to him. We need to talk to him. I remember as a little girl, and I had no idea about God or Judaism, how to Orthodox Judaism, how to connect to God. But I always spoke to him. Whenever I wrote my diary entries, I started off with "Dear God." So we always need to talk to him and have constant conversations with him. And we need to know that there is nothing that Hashem can't hear. He's the only one that can hear everything that we have to tell him, that we can be completely honest with. So why don't we let ourselves do that? There are so many people, unfortunately, that I come across who will say that they just don't really know how to talk to Hashem, or they're struggling with their davening. So the formal davening is often a struggle, yes. It is. And if we're not connected to Hashem properly, the davening is like plugging in the kettle, but not switching it on. So, yes, it definitely it is a struggle, but I will often say, so just speak to Hashem, just tell him how you feel. And many people have a hard time with that. So why is that? Okay. I, over the years, have come to see through my life experiences and as a professional, I have come to see, I've come to see that in order to have an authentic relationship with Hashem, we have to first have it with ourselves. And that means that we have to be real and honest with ourselves. And most people prefer to run away from themselves and not face their pain. Drug and alcohol addiction is rampant these days, as are many other forms of addiction. And even if it's not that, there are so many other ways of escaping reality. People are busy with their gadgets, their social media. We're in a world where people are always distracted and they're always running away from themselves. All of this leads to a more damaged society, where relationships are superficial, or not even at all. So what I've seen like I said, professionally and in a personal thing, is that the one that we run away from the most is our younger selves. That's our child selves, the child inside of us. How many of us can look at pictures of ourselves as children and like what we see? There are many. Trauma is a huge cause of that. That's one of the causes of it. It's a kind of like when a person you want to grow up and you want to leave it all behind, all of that stuff in your childhood. Let's leave it over there and let's move on. Well, I have news for you. Our child self does not let us move on. So, for example, if you have triggers in your life as an adult, those triggers that are causing you to behave in a certain way or react in a certain way are usually coming from your child place. And I would say that most people, unless they're really doing the work on themselves, I would say that most people are disconnected from their child self. And in order to be healthy, we have to integrate them. They cannot be separated. So there is a technique called left to right hand writing, which I have learned to facilitate in groups, in therapy groups that I run. And I'm going to explain to you a little bit about this process. I did it myself. I have notebooks, lots of notebooks with this in, and I was a person who was very disconnected from my child self. I couldn't look at a photograph and without cringing. And I actually hated my little girl. And I can tell you now that I can look at the same photograph, the same picture, and I see a sweet child who did nothing wrong, who got very hurt, and I feel great love for her. So how does this work? How does this technique work? So your conscious self is your dominant hand. So if you're right-handed, that is your conscious self. Your subconscious self is going to be your non-dominant hand. And the idea in this technique is that you are going to have a conversation with your child, which is your non-dominant hand, and you're going to write back and forwards to each other. So, for example, With your dominant hand, which is your adult self, will start off the conversation introducing yourself to your child. Many people have not been in contact with their child selves for years and years and years. And you ask her a question. Let's say there's something that's been bothering you, that's been causing you to feel angry or anxious or just generally upset. You ask your child, you start off, if you're right-handed, you start off with your right hand, and you ask your child, I see that you're upset about whatever it is, and can you tell me why? Or can you tell me more about that? And then you let your other hand answer. You switch your pen over and you let your other hand answer. And like this, you engage in a dialogue back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And you'd be very, very surprised what comes up. Many times the child is so resistant that they don't want to engage with their adult self. They tell them to get lost, go away, I don't want anything to do with you. You would be very, very, very surprised to see what comes up in this process. And it is amazing. I've seen such tremendous results with this. In the groups that I give, that I facilitate, so I teach the women how to do this, and then I facilitate it with them. And it is just amazing, amazing, the things that they discover about themselves. So I actually think that true healing can only come through self-love. And that means integrating the child part of you with the adult part of you. And I think that ultimately that's what's enabled me to stay deeply connected to Hashem despite my painful life, because I know Hashem loves me. Don't ask me to explain it and define it, but I just know that Hashem loves me. And I don't see my challenges as a punishment from Hashem, and I don't see my challenges as Hashem, he hates me, that he singled me out. And I think, and I'm not saying I didn't have that. I did definitely have times of that, in the past, but I don't have it now. I don't have any complaints against Hashem. I know he knows what he's doing. He doesn't need my advice. He doesn't need, me. He doesn't need me to tell him what to do. What I'm left with is this tremendous pain. But instead of using energy in other places, and those places are like, it's not fair, Hashem, why me? Like, why have you done this to me? And that takes energy. That takes a tremendous amount of energy. So instead, it allows me to have an acceptance whereby I can then focus on just dealing with the pain. Like, Hashem, help me to get through this with this pain. Help my family with this pain. And we do need to ask Hashem. We can't do it on our own. We have to remember that only Hashem can do it for us. A few words about pain. Nobody wants it. We spend our lives trying to avoid it. We strive to protect our children from it. We don't want our children, especially in our society, in our world, we do not want our children to have to go through anything difficult and any challenges. And what we really want is a pain-free life. But pain is like a major component of Hashem's world. And most of our ancestors lived extremely painful lives, right? The most well-known of them is David HaMelech, who had tremendously painful times in his life, and look what came out of him. And so we learn from Tanakh that life is full of struggles, pain, and suffering. So where on earth did we get the notion from that life is supposed to be easy street? I mean, where do we get it from? Because it isn't. it really isn't. We have to earn we have to earn our Alamaba. We have to create it for ourselves, and the way we create it is based on what we do with the challenges that we are given in this world. So, pain brings us closer to Hashem if we let it. That's very important. If we let it, we don't always let it. We often get caught up into this, like I said, going into the victim role, the victim of, why me? And I changed my life to become religious. And look what Hashem's given me. Well, Hashem never promised us anything. So, if we really think that he doesn't owe us anything, the only thing he owes us really, because he created us and put us in this world, is food and clothing and a roof over our heads. But other than that, he doesn't owe us anything. And becoming religious is not for the sake of Hashem. It's for my sake. It's for my good. It's Hashem gave us the Torah because it's good for us, not because it's good for him. And I think we often forget that. So in our darkest moments, we usually cry out to Hashem. And pain can take us to places which we wouldn't reach otherwise. And I can tell you this from my own personal experience, that pain actually, and I hope I'm not talking too much about my own personal experience, because this is really not about me at all. This is just about like what I've learned. So pain can take you to a place of knowing Hashem on a completely different level. It takes you from the head to the heart. That's difficult to explain, but it does. And so instead of running away from the pain, let's sit with it and not avoid it, and let's give it some purpose. Usually the people who become the most the people who've suffered the most are the ones who become the most motivational speakers, therapists, founders of organizations. I myself, because of the journey with my children, this book came out of that. And from this came speaking at Kesher Nafshi Shabbatons and giving support groups and also working with struggling teenagers, and so a whole load of things have morphed from the pain that I've been given, and I'm really grateful for that, because I can't imagine otherwise what I would do with it. But there are times when we reach this place where we cannot find a purpose for our pain. We cannot make sense of it. We can't explain it. I was always trying to understand things. I'm very much always trying to understand things, find a reason, find a purpose. And there are times when we cannot find a purpose to it at all. It's like, it's just something we have to go through. And when we're in that place, then we're crossing over into a whole realm, a different realm. We're crossing over into this world of tikkun. And we go into this place with humility and understanding that we know nothing. We know nothing of Hashem's ways, and we have to stop trying to understand, because we never will. And that pain, I've come to realize the pain itself and the experience of feeling that pain is tikkun. That is the tikkun, is actually feeling and experiencing going through that pain. And there are times you see that a situation can be so absolutely abnormal and so above anything that we can comprehend that it has to be tikkun. So let's give that pain the value, and and uh, and remember that we are actually being cleansed when we're going through it, and it is a preparation. Like it's like Hashem is cleaning us up, he's scrubbing us clean with this pain, so that our neshamas will be as clean as possible when we go to the next world, B'ezrat Hashem. One thing I also want to mention is that when a person is constantly trying to change a situation, there are things they desperately want in their life, and they're asking for it, and they're asking for it, and they're asking for it, and it's just not happening. And then maybe it does happen, but then it gets taken away. So when you see that the things that you really, really want, they're not happening, you're not getting them, then this really is a sign that you need to live with the problem not being solved. And that's okay. And that's okay. You don't, it takes you to a place of, okay, Hashem, you obviously do not want me right now to have this thing that I want more than anything else in the world. And so I accept it. I accept it. This is your Ratzon, and I accept it. And it's really all about making Hashem's Ratzon our Ratzon. And I daven for that. I ask Hashem all the time that he should help me. He should, to make his Ratzon my Ratzon, that we should be on the same page. So we're getting to how to connect with Hashem. We're getting there soon. One of the things that I've also realized along my journey is how much we have constricted Hashem. We have put him into this box, so to speak, and it's kind of like you can only access him if you daven a certain way, if you do things this way and that way, and if you speak to him like this or you speak to him like that. And I've discovered that is so confining to Hashem. Hashem is so great. Hashem is everything. And there are no boxes with Hashem. There are no ways of, you can only access him if you're Haredi in that way, you can only access him in that way through the Dati Lumi way. No, you can access him any way you want. You can pray to him through song, through dance, through any movement at all, anything that makes you feel that you can be with him and be real with him. So I think because our society has put a lot of constraint on Hashem, and it's kind of like a vicious circle, where when we're not real with ourselves, so then we can't create a society that can be real either. So, for example, many times people would feel uncomfortable if I told them that I get upset with Hashem sometimes. That sometimes I'll yell at him. Yeah. I always apologize afterwards, and I know 100% that he accepts my apology. But I can sing with absolute joy and gratitude to him. And there are times when I'm in so much pain that, I let it out onto Hashem. And who else can you let it out onto? Who else? Who else can you be completely real with? Hashem is so big, he can hold on to everything we say to him, and you shouldn't be afraid to be your true self with him. And I really feel that the gallows, one of our generation, is this lack of authenticity, this lack of being real in ourselves and real with God. And he is the only one you can be completely real with, more than your spouse, your best friend, anybody. Only Hashem. Okay, so one of the things also just to understand and to know too is that crying is also a connection to Hashem. It's also talking to Hashem. It's also communicating with him. There are times when I remember when my son, when he got his cancer diagnosis, and I couldn't get any normal words out of my mouth. And all I could do was walk around saying Hashem, 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 Hashem constantly. And that's fine. My Rav said that's just fine because I was connected to him. I was still connected to him. I had not, put him over somewhere where he wasn't accessible. All right, so we're preparing to have this Itbadadut with Hashem, where we should always find time to be alone with him, to just speak to him with whatever's on our mind. The first time I had a real Itbadadut, even though, like I said, I always talk to Hashem, always, but that real experience of true Itbadadut was in Gan Sofir in Uman, where I never dreamt. I went with my daughter, took me. She kept going to Rebbe Nachman all the time, and I said, I really want to understand what is it about Rebbe Nachman. Why do you keep going there? I want to come as well, and I really want to see what it is that keeps pulling you there. And she took me and my other daughter, and it really literally changed my life. It was an incredible, I have no words to describe that experience, and I am a writer. So in the park, in the freezing cold, in the snow, in the middle of winter, where the park's empty and all you can hear coming from the trees is Tati, Tati. It was like the most amazing experience. And I really let myself go, and that I'd never done before. So we need to try to find every day that time to have that experience with Hashem, where we just let go. So since my woman, I would say rebirth, awakening, so there are certain things that I have learned from Rebbe Nachman's teachings about how to be connected to Hashem. And it's not just about talking to Hashem, it's also about having Emuna in Hashem. It's also about believing in Hashem and trusting in him. So what do we need to do to have that basic Emuna? So the first thing is bittul. I'm sure that Gedalia Fenster spoke about it. I probably got what I'm speaking about. I probably got it from him. But bittul means that we have being mavata ourselves to Hashem completely. Now that doesn't mean negating who we are. It just means that we know, we truly know, and we truly accept that we know nothing of Hashem's ways. And this requires a humility, because once we know that, we won't walk around thinking that we're owed something. We won't have this magirli. Hashem, why haven't you given it to me? Why haven't you given me this? Why haven't you given me that? We learn from the Sefer Eov, when Eov, after all of his suffering and everything that he loses, and he finally breaks down and he turns to Hashem and he says to Hashem, and he asks Hashem, why is he giving him so much suffering? And what does Hashem answer? Of course, a question with a question, very Jewish. So he answers him. He says to him, where were you when I was creating the world? Right? Where were you when I was creating every flower, every rock, every stone, everything? So if you can't understand creation, how can you possibly understand the Creator? When it comes to Hashem, we need to rely on faith, not on rational, logical explanations, because we'll never understand him from that perspective. That's not who God is. Emuna always has to be our first response when it comes to Hashem. any attempt that we have to try to intellectually understand him will fail, because that's just not it, that just doesn't fit together. The second thing that we have to remember, which I think is so important, and it's something which I have been working on for a long time, is that we have to remember that Hashem is doing things for us and not to us. Meaning that Hashem knows exactly what every one of us needs for our tikkun. And even though he knows it will be painful for us to go through it, he's with us in that tikkun. It's not about he's out to get us and he doesn't like us and none of those things, like I spoke about before. A couple of years ago during COVID, I was in Mezzybush. I went to Mezzybush I was a speaker on a Kesher Nafshi Shabbaton. For those of you who don't know what that is, Kesher Nafshi is an organization that gives support to parents whose kids are struggling. Ori Tester we were there together, and I got sick with COVID. And I actually started getting sick on the plane on the way to Kiev and tried to kind of hopefully stave it off. But no, sure enough, it was COVID. And I found myself in a little room at the end of a long corridor. I actually didn't know where I was because I'd been, twice before, but I'd never actually stayed in Mezzybush. I'd just gone and on my way to Uman. And I found myself in this room, and the group had to leave on the Sunday. I couldn't go back, so I was alone by myself in this room, listening to the Ukrainians outside my door. I had no idea when I was going to get home. I had no idea how I was going to get home. Hashem, in his great kindness, sent me some Chabad shluchim who were actually Israeli, and they had been to Tanzania to learn how to take care of COVID and treat it naturally. So they came into my room with this huge, hot plate and this huge pot of steaming herbs and spices and anything that you can imagine, and I was like just sitting there with my head over this, and it was all opening up my lungs and making me cough things up, which it was incredible. And somebody sent me meals which I didn't really eat. They were left outside my door. And I was in a dilemma because I was sick. And in order to leave the country, I needed to have a negative COVID test. And in order to get a negative COVID, in order to be, how was it? Yeah, I didn't actually I wasn't in the system because they'd done one of those home tests on me. So I wasn't in the system. And the Chabad couple were nervous for me to go into the system to do an official test because they were afraid that the Ukrainian authorities would come and take me away to one of their COVID hospitals. So, but unless I had this official test in the system, then I couldn't get an official test to actually get out of the country. So you can imagine it was crazy. Millions and millions of phone calls, people trying to see how they could help and get me this and help me that, and eventually, and I remember that first night where I lay in this bed in this room, and all I could hear was the Ukrainians talking, the cleaners talking outside my door. And I suddenly had this tremendous fear, unbelievable fear. I felt so frightened and so lonely, so alone. And that's when I just said, you know, Hashem, I'm not alone. You're with me. You're with me. And you will get me out of here when you want me to get out. I will get out at the right time. In the meantime, I'm here with you and the Baal Shem Tov. I mean, what better place could I be, you know, stuck with COVID? People were stuck in America or England or whatever. And here I was stuck in Mezzybush with the Baal Shem Tov. Not that I could actually go to the Tziyun until the last day, but still, you know. Anyway, to cut a long story short, through various different channels, I managed to get home, Baruch Hashem. One of the things that I really understood, especially in that last night in the Tziyun with the Baal Shem Tov, where I had this incredible experience alone with him, which I would not have had if I'd been with the group. If I'd been with the group, would there have been so many other people around? And I had this experience alone with him, and I understood so clearly that Hashem, it pains Hashem to see us in pain. He knows what we need for our neshamas. He knows what we need to be matakin, the things we need to matakin. But it causes him pain as well. But he's together with us in that pain. And as traumatic as it was an extremely spiritual, uplifting experience. So yeah, we're not always happy with the challenges Hashem accepts us, that Hashem sends us. I think I've spoken about acceptance, trying to make our Ratzon the same as Hashem's. The third thing that we need to have is gratitude. To express gratitude. Like when we go through the process and we realize that Hashem's doing things for us and not to us, and when we can have bittul and accept and understand that we know nothing and we understand nothing, we can actually get to a place of gratitude for the struggles, not just gratitude for the good things that come our way. And I don't like this term good and not good. I think there's good and there's concealed good. So we're living in this world of tremendous concealed good, and we really want the revealed good already. But I'm trying to get to this place of thanking Hashem for the tremendous pain. I'm trying to, and I ask him to help me to get there, because I do know that when we go eventually to meet him, I do know that we'll be singing, we'll be dancing, we will be rejoicing for the pain that he gave us, because it's pain here, but it won't be pain there. And so once we get to this place, I think Rabbi Nachman was to have said that we actually don't need to ask Hashem for anything. We just need to be grateful, and then we'll see miracles. So that is a goal. And once we've been, these three things that I spoke about, bittul, remembering it's what Hashem's doing for us and not to us, expressing gratitude. Now you're ready to talk to him. Now you're ready to go into Itbadadut, and now you're ready to just be real. Just let go. Just let go. I want to finish off with reading something from my book. Now, my book, On Their Derech. This book came from, as you can imagine, my own personal journey with my children. It started off as a column in the Bina magazine, and it was supposed to run for 6 weeks, but the response was so great, this column, and you could see that the women really needed it. They really, really needed it. I did not write about personal things about my children, but more about what I'd learned along the way and the different situations we find ourselves in with this challenge. I always say that when my son had cancer, it was a lot easier than having my kids, you know, in the places that they were in. So that unfortunately is something that our society kind of has created, the social norms, you know. Anyway, so then the column ran for another 6 weeks, and then afterwards, sometime later, I was approached by a publisher to ask if I would make it into a book. So what I did was I got writings from all kinds of different people, from mothers of struggling kids, even fathers. I got from educators. Rabbi Shimon Russell is in the gives a foreword. I had the chance to work with him in his school for 2 years. I even had some of the girls that I teach. I even had some of them write in it too. It's poetry, prose. Some things are more academic. Some things are more lyrical. It's a whole gamut. But anyway, so I just want to finish off with. Oh, a very important thing to know is that I hardly made any money on this book. Like, I have 8 books out, and you go figure how it is that I can make more money on a serialized novel that was already serialized in the Hamadiyya or Bina magazine, that I can make more money on that than I can on this. And the only explanation that I have is that it was born too soon, which is one of the pieces in this book, and that people are afraid to have it on their bookshelves. It's been read extensively. I mean, I get the feedback, and it's extensively read all over. But actually owning it and having it on the bookshelf is a whole different level. So I really feel like this book was L'Shem Shemaim. And I also felt that Hashem gave me this opportunity. I felt like it was like when Esther had the Queen Esther, she had this, you know, like Mordecai was basically saying to her, kind of, well, if you don't go and do this, if you don't go into the palace, if you don't go, to Ahasuerus, then someone else will. So, kind of, this is an opportunity. This is an incredible opportunity that you're being given. So that's what I felt. I felt this was my Esther moment with this book. So I'm just going to read. I'm finishing off by reading a piece that I wrote called Something from Nothing. It would not be possible to go through this massive challenge without a strong connection to Hashem. Not just the careful observance of rituals, but a union of the heart and soul. This is not always easy, and like every child has with his or her father, I have my tantrums. But ultimately, I know that there is only him, absolutely nothing else. Recently, I have been re-examining my connection with my Creator. Is there something I can change that will lead me to a more peaceful place? The conclusion that I've come to is that my relationship with Hashem needs to be purely for the relationship's sake, and not because I expect or demand anything in return from him. Yes, he can change things. He can heal my hurting children in the blink of an eye, but I should not expect that. When I daven, when I serve Hashem, it needs to be because he's asked me to, because he created me, not because I'm waiting for him to do what I want. Will I reach this level? I don't know, but I'm determined to try. Studying Emuna and Bitachon is my spiritual lifesaver. Rabbi Israel Tauber's Sefer, Thoughts for a Jewish Heart, is a particular favorite. A few Shabbos ago, my husband read me something from that book that gave me tremendous chizuk. Rabbi Tauber explains that when Hashem created the world, he made something from nothing, ex nihilo. Since man was created in God's image and likeness, so as to emulate Hashem, we too have to make something from nothing. Rabbi Tauber brings an example of a kollel man who learns Torah every day with true devotion. He is a good husband and father, fortunate to have a nice home and no financial struggles. The young man utilizes the blessings he's been given in the service of Hashem. Everyone would agree that he's giving Hashem nachas. But, Rabbi Tauber says, with all due credit to his many virtues and accomplishments, he is functioning within a framework of something from something. If this man has no lack, if he's not making something from nothing, he's not making any revolution in his life. By contrast, the person who overcomes adversity and fights to grow and maintain his connection with Hashem despite his hardships is creating ex nihilo. In this, he resembles the Creator and thereby attains the ultimate goodness. This is Thoughts for a Jewish Heart. I think I told you that, yeah. In reality, every person has his deficiencies and challenges. The image that Rabbi Tauber presented of the successful Kollel man was idealized to elucidate the point. His example reminded me that here in Olam Hazeh, things often look upside down, and those of us who are not doing what society respects and admires might consider themselves failures. Rabbi Tauber's lesson reminds us that this couldn't be further than the truth. Throughout my journey, I've learned that good means coming closer to Hashem because He is the ultimate good. Likewise, bad means pulling away from Hashem. So whatever my circumstances, if they bring me close to Hashem, then that's good. And that's something I can create. I can make my life good despite all its deficiencies. As I continue on my challenging path with all the pain and uncertainty, I hope that I am creating something out of my massive void and that Hashem is happy with the way I'm handling this tremendous challenge, that I'm giving Him nachas, because serving Hashem comes through many channels. Mine is the deep connection I have with Him through the children He gave me. It's not always easy, and at times I want to give up, but I struggle on because I too am on my derech.
Wow, beautiful. Your book is like phenomenal.
Sorry?
Your book is phenomenal. It doesn't just talk to the parents who have issues with their kids. It talks to us who we have issues with our inner kids, our inner kids, right?
Yeah.
Batya, you're amazing.
And I just wanted to say, by the way, in case no one realized, I took the off the derech label and pushed it to on their derech.
Love it.
Because I really do believe that everyone is on their own.
They have their own pathways.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Your talk is amazing.
Thank you.
I would love to continue to expand and discuss it. We're just at a late hour and I want to just close off with a beautiful meditation, but your words are profound because they're so real and they're coming from a place of realness of not everything is hunky-dory. And you know what? Having a relationship with Hashem is a hard, anguishing relationship, but we're on the derech. We're traveling on it.
But Baruch Hashem, we have Hashem, because if we didn't, like, what would be the point of anything? I don't know how do people go through anything if they don't have Hashem? Baruch Hashem, we have Him. Yes.
Baruch Hashem, we have Hashem.
And Baruch Hashem, we have you that can organize these kind of events and these summits.
Each one of us serves a beautiful beacon of light. And as a friend and as a fellow confidant, you are really, really the epitome of on the derech, and a beautiful derech.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Batya. So all of Batya's information, her books, everything is there on the website. Reach out to her to join her beautiful writing workshops. And she just does phenomenal work that is real life. Oh, you're muted. Hold on, you're muted.
I think if anybody would like to participate in a therapeutic writing workshop with me, I do Zoom and I do in person here in Eretz Israel. So, just be in touch with me.
Please do. Okay. Have a wonderful, wonderful night. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay. Rachel Dvora, any parting words before I go into the meditation?
No, yes, two small things for everybody here. First of all, thank you again to all of our speakers. and another day 2, F3. We are not done yet. There is still time to share the link through the website for more people to join us tomorrow, who will also get the recordings from all 3 days. You guys will be receiving the recordings before they are made public. It's one of the advantages of having registered. So definitely encourage others to have that extra little bit of, exposure, as well as the handouts and the special gifts that are being given by our speakers. That is going to you guys, those who took the time to register, who are here, who are participating, and we really want to recognize your investment. That recording, Emirza Hashem, day 1 will be available probably within about an hour of tonight closing. Today's recording, Emirza Hashem, will be available by tomorrow. As I said in the beginning, it takes us a little time to buffer and make sure everything is edited and smooth, but it is coming your way. And that is all for today. I look forward to seeing everybody tomorrow.
Amazing. Thank you, Rachel Dvar, for running the show front and back and sideways. Really, thank you, thank you, thank you so much. And once again, thank you, Batya. Thank you, Rebbetzin Tamar. Thank you, Atara. Thank you for yesterday, Rav Pinchas Winston, Gedalia, and for Dr. Miriam. And thank you in advance tomorrow, Rabbi Joey and Rebbetzin Sarah Yehudi Schneider, who'll be presenting tomorrow. Really just a beautiful, eclectic, the voices of Hashem through all walks of life, from different perspectives. That's what we're trying to capture here, is just the different perspectives of, one voice is going to speak to us more than others, also depending on where we're holding at that time. And it's just important to find the nuggets of wisdom that speak to you. You're going to be drawn to the words that have to do with where you're holding in your exile. What is that exiled piece of the puzzle that you have in your hand? So let's go into a short meditation. My internet has been behaving quite nicely today. Thank you, Hashem. So let's go into a shortened version of a presentation of a meditation to sort of integrate today's learning. I invite you to make sure your phones are not bothering you, and if you want to go off camera and you want to lie down, I'm not going to make this long. Just, to go into our cells, make sure there's nobody bothering you. And when you find your place, close your eyes and just start focusing inward. As we said, really, when you close your eyes, that's the reason why the epitome of the tefillah that every Jew should have on, carved into his or her mouth is the Shema. And we do it because we do it when our eyes are closed. So let's just close our eyes and take a few minutes to just relax and to center. Become mindful of your presence, of your body, where you are, and particularly on your breath. Because we're all talking about soulful, authentic Jewish healing, and the way that we become a vessel for that healing to come through is by paying attention to our breath. The word neshima attached to the word neshama. Our breath is attached to our soul. So just pay attention to also not just breath, but the inhale and the exhale and the pause in between. And just allow the slowing pace of your breath, which those of us who are not accustomed to meditation and breathing and being mindful, it takes time, right? Meditation is not about focus, it's about refocus. Because our mind is going to go off, our heart is going to go wild, our body is going to not know what to do with this quiet centeredness if we're not used to it. It takes practice, consistent practice, few minutes a day. So just allow that breath, the slowing down of your breath, to actually slow down the pace of your being, to be more in a place of quiet. And just in a kind of quickened version, begin to scan your body from like head to toe, and just notice, is there any place in your body that needs relaxation, that needs a release, that needs attention? And the intention here is we want to integrate all that we have learned yesterday and today. We want to integrate that into every soul of our being. So have that be your intention. I want to scan my body. I want to see what pockets in my beingness needs more attention. There's like a little blockage there that I need to sort of open up so that I could be more attached and integrate, let it permeate my being, right? All that learning that we've done till now. So, how do you do that? You breathe into that place, you breathe love, you breathe understanding, you breathe gratitude for this breath, for this moment. And just use that breath to sort of anchor yourself to become more aware. It's through your breath that you will become more aware of where you're holding. And this is what the summit is about. It's about facing mindfulness, cognizance, awareness, not hiding, not denying, not even trying to change, or not even judging. Just let me become aware. So keep going back to your breath every time you wander off. And just pick a feeling with the intention. What is that feeling that I'm having right now that is at the core of why there are parts of my body that can't fully right now integrate all that I'm learning? What's that feeling? Is it a fear? Is it a doubt? Is it feeling unworthy? What's there? Name it. Because you want to name that feeling, you want to give it attention, because it's like that little fragmented part. That's your inner persona. That's the fragmented, exiled part, even in integration of the learning, that you want to feel into it, right? Where do you feel it? Name the spot. Pay attention to the spot in your body. Your body holds that space of wisdom. And again, name it, witness it, experience it, but with no judgment. Don't try to change it. Don't even try to push it away. Just let it be. And become aware of that feeling, of that thought. And when you pay attention to it, you can actually hold it. I want you to hold it for a minute, like you were holding someone that came to you, a wounded child or a wounded anything. I want you to hold it. I want you to look at it. I want you to be open-hearted to it. Again, no self, incrimination. Just let it be held. And just say, yes, I hear you. What story does it have to tell you? Is there an age? Is there a color? Is there an image? Like, what's the story? What's the history there? And just listen. In this ocean of beingness, just listen. What's there? Now, if we had more time, I would say to you, spend 15 minutes just hearing the story, acknowledging the part. And what you will find when you do this, the patience and the discipline and consistency, what you're going to find is that underneath this pain, this exile, is redemption, because it reveals to you Hashem's infinite loving light. Underneath, if you sit long enough with this, automatically, when it dissolves because it's been acknowledged, Hashem's loving light is going to automatically arise. You're going to feel taken care of. You're going to feel heard. You're going to feel loved. Don't ask me how it happens. It's not a logical process. It really just happens. What you're going to find is that your eyes are going to open up metaphorically. Your eyes will still be closed, but metaphorically, your eyes will open up with so much more love. You will love yourself more. You will feel more of Hashem's love to you. Because when you can go into a place of deep compassion for the pain that you're experiencing, all divined by the divine for you, you will find the light. You will find Hashem's love. It's just going to come up. You just have to sit with it. You have to trust that it's there. And again, you're not trying to find a resolution. The resolution is finding Hashem. That's what it is. Listen to the story. Allow yourself to just experience it. And then when you're ready, You breathe into it the love, the compassion that you found already. All healing is self-healing. And then when you come out of this state, if you're still in the meditation, you slowly come back to the awareness of your body and check in again. Is it feeling lighter? Is it feeling more open? And just like descending from a ladder, allow yourself to start feeling your body, anchor into your body. Feel your body on the chair, on the bed. Feel at the back of your thighs against the chair, your arms resting, and come back into that ordinary conscious state that we're in right now. And hopefully you can feel that expansion, that spaciousness. And that's how we go from contradiction and from paradox to wholesomeness. Is we recognize it, we hold it, and then we go deeper into it, and it just automatically expands. You don't have to go and travel to the moon, right? You don't have to leave consciousness. You could still be inside, but that's, I know a lot of people are into these trips, the shroom trips, and we use a lot of this as an escapism. We end up feeling that we really can't integrate all that we have learned and has been access to us. A lot of people come to me after they've gone on these trips and they're not finding themselves. Again, I'm not 100% against it all. I'm just saying we just have to recognize that things need to be done in moderation, and we have it all in us. We really, really have it all in us. So I'm sending a lot of love and light to everybody here. Anybody who will be watching on the forthcoming recordings. Once again, tremendous Hakar Satov to Yael, to Rachel Dvora, to Jamie, to Gila, to Esty. I have a lot of friends here. Rivka Dvora. I have a tremendous amount of friends here, and loving sisters. And you're all my sisters. We're all one big mishpacha, and we're all here with the intention of communing and traveling this journey of exile to see it to its end. And that's Geula, as we're all going to be dancing together. Be'ezrat Hashem, we ask for it berachamim. We want to dance together. We want to celebrate together. We're all on the winning team. Remember, we are all on the winning team. So I'm sending a tremendous amount of love and light. Thank you again to everyone. And Be'ezrat Hashem for our, ultimate climax of the summit, God willing, next tomorrow following. I'm very, very excited and really looking forward to seeing you all again. Lots of love. Have a wonderful night, and I'll see you tomorrow.